What's going on with y'all, man? It's your boy Freedom, aka Dom75th. Today I'm gonna be showing you how I make beats, like my thought process that goes into beats. This is gonna be probably one of my most extensive videos. I'll try to make it as extensive as possible. If not, keep in mind this is gonna be something that I'm gonna do more often. You know, getting up in camera and showing you guys what I do, my thought process, you know, the different key details that go into my DAW and how I make, you know, how I literally like structure my beats. So before I actually get into any of this, I want to let you guys know that you guys can get into any pursuit you want. I just started making music 5 years ago, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know what chord progressions or, you know, chords were, and I didn't even know what keynotes were. Like, but what really helped me, and let me just prop the camera up right here really quick. What really helped me like to get into music, what I noticed is like when I was a kid, I used to just like be very curious as to like why they would like, why would an A minor be labeled as A minor in a scale of like C, D, E? And I was just very curious, you know, this was my thought process going into it. I had kind of like a very intellectual background, but at the same time, my family was into music. You know, we all had a talent. Like my little brother is a singer. He was a singer before he became a rapper now. My uncle is actually a famous salsero. A bunch of things that I'm gonna like get into and share with you guys in the future videos. But I just wanted to tell you guys this to that give you motivation that you don't have to have a music background, or you don't have to have so much knowledge. What the hell is that on my chest, bro? Oh, it's a fucking scar. Yeah, you don't have to have so much knowledge or so much background in music. If you want to get into music, just feel free to start. Like, even if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna find ways to make it happen, especially if it's something that you want to do. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So as you guys can see, this is my DAW. I use FL Studio. I do have this browser up with a drum kit that I was using, and I have a simple setup. Like, you could clearly see like there's no lights and shit like that. Like, I keep it simple because ultimately my job is not to make my DAW look cool, it's to make my music sound good. So really, this is the setup. It's not much, it's simple. And typically what I start off with when I'm trying to find my sound is I usually just go off of what I've been listening to before. Like, I try to gain inspiration from the things that I was listening to earlier in my life. So let's say like recently I've been listening to like Gunna, right? And I actually have been. His most recent shit's been fire. Yeah, like I've been listening to him a lot, and so now what would be my inspiration to make music? It would most likely be that, because that's what I've been, you know, looking at, and that's what I've been liking as of recent. So this is my way of kind of like getting ideas as to what I want to make. Now, keep in mind, this is just my ideation. You guys can use any ideation you want as inspiration to make music. So if you want to make, you know, R&B music, and it's because, you know, you liked a certain song that your girlfriend played or your boyfriend played, do it. Like, get into it now. Like, you don't want to waste too much time with the reasoning or the logic behind it, because you see, like, I've been doing this for a long time, but my setup is mad simple, and like I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. I just want to make music and I get inspired. So keep that in mind, guys. Like, that's what I do when I try to come up with ideas, is that I try to just use my past inspiration and my past like love for songs or my past love for a specific genre to then make that my inspiration to make something. Now, when it comes to the different programs and VSTs that you can use to, and guys, VST simply is just another word for plugin or program. Like, this whole thing, this is an FL Studio program, but the plugins that you use can also be labeled as VST. There's also VST3. You also saw AU up there. That doesn't really matter. You don't have to know what those mean. But just keep in mind that, you know, when I'm opening up these different programs, I'm opening up basically what is known as VSTs or VST3s, right? Or just plugins. You can call them plugins as well. Putting up a program right now that I pay for myself, just so you guys can have like a better understanding, like how I go into making, you know, the best beats possible for myself. But you could literally start with anything. So we'll just click this right here. So I have a sound loaded up from the VST that I showed you guys. Remember, keep in mind, you don't have to use a paid VST like me. You could use any VST you want. There's tons that you could find in FL Studio. I actually make a separate video on me just making a beat straight from the FL Studio plugins itself. But really what I have opened up right now here is the piano roll. And it's very important that you know like what chord or what feeling you want to express into the song, because, or to the beat rather, because what will happen is, you know, you're putting down these chords, but you could be putting down, let's say C, but then because you don't really know how chord progression works, you put it down like right here, and this works. But if you wanted to portray your song to be happy and you hear this, that's not a happy chord. That's somewhat of a, I guess you could say like dark chord, but you know, they're just tighter. You know, it's usually for like little baby type beats, these type of chords, but it's not a happy chord. Now, if you wanted to make a happy chord, you would have to know chord progression, and that's why it's very important to know chord progression, at least when starting off. And I'll tell you guys, it's very simple. It's very simple how chord progression works. So right here, really quick, I have a C major chord lined up. Why is this a C major chord and not any other chord, right? What is a major chord, right? Like, we're gonna get into all that. So if you wanted to play a major chord, here's a formula that you could use. You want to skip up 3. So so basically you skip 1, 2, 3, boom. Now you have a couplet of an of a C major and a E major, right? So if you play those two together, that's how that is, right? Now, if you were to skip 2 notes above E, you get G. This is a C major chord, which is C, E, G. Very simple. Now, what's cool about this, well, before I actually get into that, I want to explain a minor chord now. So let's say you start off in this white key with the bass note, right? You want to first now skip off 2 and leave your middle key at D sharp. Now you have what is known as a couplet, but in minor. That's the way you can call it. There's different terminology like augmented. I believe augment. Yeah, this will be known as augmented, but you could call it couplet. Whatever it is easiest to understand for you. Remember, the terminology doesn't really matter. What matters is that we're placing the chords correctly, so it sounds good. You don't want to be placing chords like right here and right here, and then, you know, I mean, that sounds pretty cool, but you know, if you want to have a specific sound, you got to know what chord you're placing it at, and that's a very simple formula to follow. For minor chords, you just go up 2, and then you go up 3. Basically opposite of the C major chord, which was C, E, G. Now you have C, D sharp, and G. And that would be your minor chord. Now, what's cool about this is, if let's say you do start at C, and you wanted to play a major chord 7th, you would first follow the formula. You skip up 2, then you go ahead, you skip up 3, boom. Now you have your major chord. What's cool is that you could make these chords into 7th chords and 11th and 13th. And all you really have to do is just follow the formula. So you skip 3 here, now you skip 2. Now you could skip, if you want, 3. And now you have a major chord 7th from C. Now you can skip up 2, you have a major chord 11th. And what's cool is that you could basically keep going as much as you like and even regulate these middle notes to do different automation, like different patterning. So you could take these middle notes right here, make a little like a short arpeggio, get this top note, and following the formula using, you know, what we've skipped already so far. We skipped 2 notes here, so now we skip 3 notes again. Now we have a pretty crazy chord. You guys get the picture, you guys get it now. So that is basically really it when it comes to chord progressions and making chords. You don't have to start off at C, you have an A sharp. You could do an A sharp minor chord. You skip 3 right here, and then you go up 2. I mean, the other one I did was minor, excuse me for that. It's a morning, you know, I just woke up, so. But now this will be the minor chord. So now you have A sharp minor, A sharp major. And really, guys, making music just takes a matter of creativity and just putting things together so that you could like find a sound you want. I feel like a lot of people get so caught up in the perfection of the sound and in the perfection of what they're making, instead of like experimenting and like trying new things so that they can really get their mind accustomed to like different sounds and how to put those sounds together. Because it's really easy to go online and like look for a friggin' loop, right? But eventually you get tired of it and you want to actually start implementing your own taste into music. So really my take on this is to first practice with chord progressions as much as possible. So that formula I gave you, practice that formula, but with the bass note starting off anywhere. Like you don't have to start off in C or A sharp, start off in freaking F, start off in G. And you will get better at making these beautiful and very different sounds that not many people have heard of, simply because you're just experimenting with your basic foundation of music, and that is chord progression. So make sure to study that as much as possible. You don't have to like go into a freaking course or book, but if you want, like look back in this video and apply that knowledge as you're making your own beat. So if you want to make a dark trap like 21 Savage type beat, follow the minor scale, start off at, let's say, G, right? Or you could start off at A sharp. I start off at C sometimes just because, you know, it gives me an idea to then like lower it. I could probably lower the progression a couple notes down and just start playing with it. Start creating maybe different sharp progressions, you know, have like augmented notes where, you know, you leave the same space in between, but for sharp, because, you know, you're making a dark 21 Savage beat. Now if you're making like, let's say, a Playboi Carti beat, his beats are kind of like a little bit more vibrant. They kind of do get dark, but those are like his opium type beats. But for the most part, his beats are kind of vibrant and happy-go-lucky and ambient. So find like a, you know, find a cool sound that you like and just start playing with major chords. Start playing with major chords that start off on the sharp. You know, just have fun with it. You know, the possibilities are really just endless, guys. That's really what I wanted to tell you guys. You can really do anything if you really put your mind to it and have fun. So one thing, guys, that I am going to have to talk about in another video, because I actually have a lot of things to do. I did say this is going to be an extensive video, but I'm going to be making way more videos on teaching you guys how I do things and how to actually get started. So don't fret. I have a drum pattern right here. Let me just play it for you guys really quick. This will be known as the channel rack, into where you could put your different instruments, like, you know, your 808 drums, your hi-hats, your claps, and you then basically create a pattern out of that by clicking this plus, and then you drag it into this playlist along with the melody that you made. And, you know, we'll get into that. This is also the mixer track as well, where you can mix the different sounds. You hear the sounds. We'll get into that very soon. But for now, I just wanted to let you guys know that. So here's the beat that I just finished. Here's the beat that I just made with the pattern that we were just talking about. I used a sound from the same VST that I was telling you guys about, that it was paid. Keep in mind, you guys don't have to pay for shit. You guys can, you know, use any VST you like, as long as it has sounds that you like. And I just searched up this ambient sound that sounds pretty cool. It's called Pierre. It's kind of ironic because I was trying to make a pure bourne type beat anyway. And basically, guys, the reason why you know, that sounds good and it sounds like aligned is because of the chord progression. You know, I had to learn chord progression before anything. I didn't really know how to put things together until I started to, you know, experiment with chord progression. So don't be afraid to experiment with chord progression. This is a chord that I made. I turned it into C major 7th. That's my favorite bass note, really, C, but eventually I lower it just in case if I want to make a different vibe or whatever. And then I added, I just basically clipped some things off to add some like patterning and automation to it. And this is basically it right here. And then I basically just loop this over because it is trap. I just loop this over right here for every, I guess you could say, beat or every bar or every note. So I just loop that. And then this is basically the final product. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys want more content like this, you know, hit me up, bro. Like, I have no issue doing this. This is fun to me. Without further ado, bro, here y'all go. Enjoy.